Welcome back to the corral. You know, I'm feeling kind of rugged. I'm feeling kind of fine. I'm feeling like a man with some books on his mind. That's right, and boy, if I picked 3 interesting books for you today. From a lifetime of collecting, I pulled out 3 wacky, wonderful books. First up, we're going to talk about this very strange nonfiction narrative. It's called Two Appomattox, 9 April Days, 1865. By Burke Davis. Here it is. And here is what Burke Davis looks like right there for you. And this is a... Let's see, what year was this? I should have written this down. This was published in 1959. This is a strange book, however. It's nonfiction, but it's what they call a historical narrative. That means he put it together in novel form, using his sources to piece it together in a manner that reads like a novel. When I read it, that does mean that there are things that might be fictionalized, such as what somebody's feeling at a certain time. Here and there, that becomes apparent. His research, however, was pretty good because he gives his notes in the back, and his bibliography is extensive. I'll try and speak English for this episode. It's a good book. I kept it because it's a good book. I have a lot of books about the Civil War. I haven't really done an episode about that. I have walked the Shiloh battlefield. I'm one of those that's done that. And, but this is Appomattox, 9 April Days, 1865, the end of the war. It covers just about every aspect of those 9 days leading up to Appomattox that you can imagine. And it's riveting, the way he did it. Again, it reads like a novel. And perhaps some fictional flourishes here and there. Burke Davis was born in 1913. He died in 2006. And he wrote multiple historical books, all of which were highly regarded during his lifetime. A forgotten author. And certainly I'll bet this is a forgotten book. Shouldn't be, but it is. It's fantastic. I just think it's great. So I kept it because it has all of this information in a superb bibliography. So this is a work of nonfiction by a forgotten book by, I perceive to be pretty much a forgotten author. And then we're going to get to a book that's quite famous, actually. And this is a low-grade copy that I have in my collection. This is The Desperate Hours by Joseph Hayes. All right, here is Joseph Hayes. Look at Joseph. He's a tough guy. All right, so let me tell you about this book of Joseph. Joseph Hayes was born in 1918. He died in 2006, another one that died after the millennium. The Desperate Hours was published in 1954. The rights to the film were purchased almost immediately, even before it came out. The film came out the following year. And you know the film. That's Humphrey Bogart, Frederick March, Dewey Martin, and Robert Middleton. Bogart, Dewey Martin, and Robert Middleton are the 3 convicts that are on the run, and they walk into a suburban home and they hold the family hostage. In the mid-1950s, this was unheard of. It did happen. It was inspired by a real story. It became a very famous play, and Frederick March played the father of the family. I'm a Bogart fan, so if you're going to watch this movie, you're seeing one of the great examples of Bogart the actor. The actor at work. I have to look here. I have a book about Bogart over here on this bookshelf that you can't see. I don't remember where it fell into being one of his last, or nearly one of his last movies. In any event, it's a great film, and the book is pretty good too. So Joseph Hayes was around a long time, and he wrote other things too. He wrote other books, stories, screenplays, and everything. So he was a successful author. Not very well known now. I think The Desperate Hours is in print somewhere. Certainly The Desperate Hours, and this is a really low-grade copy. It's been reprinted in all sorts of editions. So finding it is not a problem. The writing is just typical for the area. It's almost a journalistic style. Nothing exemplary and nothing poor. It falls right into that. Very well written book. It keeps your attention. It's the plot that keeps your attention, because during the mid-1950s, this type of thing was uncommon. Of course, it would happen, but it was uncommon. Today, they're all too common to see people being held hostage and all of this nonsense with evil people. It still makes for a riveting read. It still makes for a great film with Bogart, and you should certainly check that out if you're into that type of suspense thriller. And yet, Joseph Hayes, although he was very well known, I don't see people talking about him. He wrote a lot of other things. Certainly, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there that covered this. It's a good book. I had to piece this together, and I haven't Mylar'd any of these books yet. I have to Mylar it myself. It's a good book. I'm a Bogart fan, so I kept it. There is book number 2 in the Forgotten Authors that we're talking about here. And now we're going to talk about the best of the 3, I think, and that is Tom T. Chamales. I hope I pronounced that right. Chamales. This is, look at him. Look at Tom Chamales. So let me tell you about him. 1924 to 1960. He died tragically young at the age of 35 in an apartment fire, I believe. His life was fascinating. He was one of the youngest officers in Merrill's Marauders. Yes, there was a film made about Merrill's Marauders. He had nothing to do with that. That was, I think it was a Jeff Chandler film. It's a good movie. But he was in the real Merrill's Marauders in Burma at the age of 21. He was behind Japanese lines for 2 years. He received a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. All right, so this guy, he survives the war. Quite obviously, he gets all of these decorations, and he's influenced by none other than James Jones from Here to Eternity, and he wants to become a writer. So he meets James Jones here in Illinois, according to his wiki page, and they strike up a friendship. And he becomes a writer, and he publishes Never So Few in 1957. This is based upon his experiences in Burma. That makes this one of the major post-war pieces of literature relating to World War II by someone who was involved in there. It is a long book. It is a fascinating book. It is a great book. It's forgotten, but it's not quite forgotten. There was a recent edition, I thought, a couple of years ago. A group put it out. I couldn't find it on Amazon. I don't know what the deal is there, but I've been having trouble with my phone when I look at Amazon, so I don't know. It was made into a film with Frank Sinatra, and you know who. A bunch of other people, very interesting people, were in this movie. Sinatra's the one that matters to me because I am a Francis Albert Sinatra fan. It's a great piece of writing, and it's a shame he died so young. He did write another book, and the title was changed on him by the publisher, and it's called Go Naked in the World. I have not read it. I don't even know what it's about. And then he's dead at the age of 35. What a shame. He's a tough guy, you know. This guy survived Burma. He survived being behind Japanese lines. Thomas T. Chamales. What a great writer, and a forgotten book, pretty much. The movie's not forgotten, you know, because you have Frank Sinatra and Steve McQueen, you know, in the movie. So I think it's fascinating to read, and it's one of those books that has ended up on my list of post-war literature, significant post-war literature that I have been putting together. I've told you about that so many times, you're probably sick of it. I have an episode out there about some post-war literature. You might check those out. Anyway, he was with the 3rd Battalion, American Kachin Rangers, and he was also the tactical commander. He was part of the guerrilla force in Burma. Amazing story, amazing book. Never So Few, made into a very popular film with some very popular actors. And I hope you enjoy these 3 books. I hope you're able to track them down and find them. They're oddities in my library because I feel that these authors are pretty much forgotten. And this, for me, this is the cream of the crop here, this book of the 3. The Desperate Hours is pretty good. And the Appomattox book is a good historical narrative, but this is really the best work of fiction of the 3. This is a great novel. All right, I've rambled on yet again. Can you imagine that? Coming up soon. I have no idea. I'll come up with something. I'm on the road, actually, by the time you see this. Stay well, stay happy. Feed your brain. Read a book.